This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So we go back to where we stopped yesterday, which is the materials management. We had created the purchase order. It is ready. Like I had mentioned about the approvals. So this is the screen called Approve Purchase Orders. For users who are of higher authority, they can use the screen for bulk approval, like we had the bulk approval screen for requisitions. Similarly, this is the approved purchase order screen where all purchase orders that are pending for approval in the last 30 days would be displayed here automatically the moment you load the screen. And basis on the level of approval, the user is authorized. This is the level of approval. Basis on the level of approval, he can take the action, which is of approving or rejecting or put it on hold. So now that our purchase order is ready, it is approved, a final print has been sent to the supplier. Now, when the time comes for the supplier to deliver the items and the hotel, the receiving person is receiving the items at the hotel. So the receipt of items from the supplier is recorded in this screen, which is store receipt from vendor. So the store receipt of from vendor screen also opens up as an inquiry screen in the first click, where these are the search filters for you can locate receipts based on the receipt number generated by the system or by the purchase order or by the document type or items, packs, or for a particular supplier. It will list all the receipts that have happened based on the search filters that you've entered here at the top when you click on the search button. Now that you have to receive the items for the first time, which means you are going to generate a new goods receipt note. So you click on the add button here. The document type, which means the transaction type, which the system will post is VR, which is vendor receipt or what we call as receipt from vendor. This is the date when you are receiving, the date on which you are receiving the items from the supplier. And you need to feed in the purchase order number against which you are receiving the items. So if you remember the number, you type in the number manually here, or you can do a drop down and select the particular purchase order against which you want to receive. So right now, I don't remember my purchase order number. I don't remember the date, but I do remember the supplier. So, and I know who the supplier is. So I type in the supplier name here and I do a search. It will list the particular purchase order against which you can do a receiving. So I select that, the purchase order number, the date, and the supplier is displayed. I click on the search button. When I click on the search button, it will list all the items that were a part of the purchase order that I had generated. Now, I, as a person who's in charge of receiving the items from the supplier, all I need to enter is in this column, which is received quantity. So all I need to enter is the quantity that I am receiving from the supplier. It could be equal to what I have ordered, or it can be less. So typically the supplier may be delivering the entire quantity that you had placed an order for, or he could be delivering less. You definitely cannot enter more than what you have ordered. So say, for example, I am receiving partly. So whatever I'm receiving, I enter. That is the quantity that I've entered here. So let me do half of each. So this is how I enter the quantity that I have received. And by default, you will see the store in the department column is showing the store as 9100. It has picked up 9100 because it was the kitchen store who had raised the request for these items, which is why the system has defaulted this store ID 9100. Okay, this is the default store of these items that you had defined in the items master as well. Now, there is a column of direct issue. If they are perishable items, you may have to do a direct issue, which means you may have to give those items for consumption directly to the cost center instead of taking it into the store. In such a case, you click on this direct issue button. When you click on the checkbox of direct issue, you will see that what was defaulted here is 9100, which means the store disappears. So now you can click. Now, if there are multiple cost centers who had requested for this particular item, you can always go to this department link. When you click on department link, you can choose the departments to whom you want to directly issue the items. So say, for example, I'm doing grab and go. This is one department. What I have received is 5. So I'm giving out 3 out of 5. This is the receipt quantity. This is 5. So out of 5, I am doing a direct issue to grab and go for 3 quantity. And the rest I am giving out to another cost center, which is probably, say, restaurant 5. So I'm giving 2 here. So this is how you can distribute the quantity that you are receiving into the various cost centers as per what has been requested. So I say save here. The moment you say save, you will see that there are 4 stars appearing. So when it is 4-star, the user knows that there are multiple cost centers to whom this 5 quantity has been directly issued. Okay, and then all you need to do is click on the save button. Let's see what happens. So this is the document number which has been generated. This is your goods receipt note number 1563. So in 1563, okay, I think I see a small problem here. I need to get it fixed. The direct issue item is not appearing. Anyway, so I will get this fixed. Okay. So this is 1563 is the GRN number, which you can print if you want to. You can enter the supplier invoice number and the date if the supplier is giving you the bill right away at the time of delivery. So let me do it here. Let's do AG001. This is the bill number which the supplier has given me. It's on 30th and I say save. So it saves with the bill number. Now you can take a print if you want to keep a soft copy or whatever. If you need to email a copy of the goods receipt note to any department. So this is the receipt voucher that you can print. And then after that, what you need to do is confirm to AP. So if you remember in the purchase and receipt cycle, let me go back and open the okay, if you remember yesterday when I was here, this one. If you remember this portion of liability information to payables. So after you've taken the receipt, you've inspected and you've received the items, you have replenished your inventory, which means the stock at your store has increased. Now, this liability information to payables that you need to do or you need to send is what is confirmed to AP. So the moment you click on the button of confirm to AP, the GRN is stamped as confirmed receipt. And this information that you have received, there is a receipt that has happened of 1563 against a purchase order 1609 dated 30th June 2023 amounting to this much. This information flows into the payables module so that the bills that this particular invoice or this particular bill which the supplier has given can be processed into a purchase journal and payment can be made finally. All right. So this is the entire cycle of purchase and receipt. Let me just take a screenshot of this one so that I know. Now, the other part of the materials management cycle is the inventory cycle, in which we talk about the consumption part, where requests for items are generated from a particular cost center to a store, and the store has to give out those items based on that requisition. Also, the periodic stock taking process, which the hotel does, the storekeeper does, which is a physical count that he takes of all the items that are there in the store. That physical count needs to be updated into the system so that the system stock and your physical count tally. So that process is what we talk as the inventory stock process. Now, the consumption is posted from here. This is the issue screen which the storekeeper will access to see the list of requisitions, to see the list of consumption requests that have come in from various departments, and he will issue the items as per the request. The issue request is generated from here only. It's the same screen, requisition screen. The process of raising requisition remains exactly the same. The only difference being that the type of requisition here will be IQ, issue request. So here, issue request from department will be the requisition that the cost center is generating. So, for example, Grab and Go is requesting for some items from kitchen store. So Grab and Go is requesting items from kitchen store. So again, enter item details. You can use the template. So I'll do it. Download template. Or you can choose to enter the items from here. But the only process is you have to keep clicking on the arrow button. So it may be slightly tedious for users to do it. So the easiest way is to open the Excel template and feed the quantity that you are requesting. So if I remember the item ID is, I can do it. So this item ID is 00089. 00089. So this is the item. Uh, 9111 9111 Okay, so this is the one. Is it showing? 91110089. Okay, this 89 is not a part of kitchen store. This item is not a part of the kitchen store. So let me have a look at this item. 9100 is 91230089. So this is my kitchen store before. So what is wrong? The kitchen store before. The item is not. Anyway, let me do it here. 9 I'm doing it this way because I'm unable to find the item right now. Uh, 91110090. So I am requesting 0090. So I'm requesting these 2 items, which means I'm a user of Grab and Go who is requesting an issue request to Kitchen Store Default 9100, where I am saying that these are the 2 items that I require for say 5 quantity each. And while I'm requesting, I as a person of Grab and Go, I know that there is stock at location is showing 10 each. That means 10 quantity, 10 kilograms of these 2 items are available in the store. So their chances of processing my request is higher. Now I say save. So this is an issue requisition that I have generated, which is 625. There is no concept of approval defined or configured for issue type of request, which is why it is an approved requisition the moment it is saved and this number is generated. It is not stamped as pending for approval. Now, I take the role of a storekeeper. So as a store in charge, when I am accessing this screen, which is the issue screen, I click on the add button. And on the right hand side here, I will see the issue request. This is the request which has come in. So when I double click on this section will show me the list of items which are a part of this requisition. And the moment I double click on the requisition, you will see the details are displayed here. So it is the issue will happen from 9100 store, which is kitchen store. And the issue will be to Grab and Go. So the consumption will be posted to Grab and Go. I click on enter item details. It is showing me these 2 items. It is showing that the requested quantity, the request that has come in from Grab and Go is 5 quantity each, which is 5 kgs each. So the quantity that I can issue is 5. It is defaulted. I as a store in charge do not have to do anything. I already have stock at my location, which is 10 kgs. So I can easily click on the save button. If there was no stock at the location, the quantity issued figures, the figures for quantity issued column would appear in red so that the user knows or the store in charge already knows that he does not have enough stock to process the request that has come in from Grab and Go. Now that I have stock, all I need to do is just click on the save button. When you click on the save button, the system will prompt you a message saying that this document cannot be modified once made. Why does it say this? It says this because when you click on OK, if you click on the OK message of this OK button of this message box, the transaction is posted. You mean that you will see a unique transaction number displayed here, which means consumption. It says issue document created, issue number is 270. So the moment the consumption is posted for 5 quantity each of these 2 items, if whatever you have issued or whatever I have issued as a store in charge, if it is incorrect in the sense I was supposed to issue only 4, but I issued 5, which means I issued 1 kg extra. So the message means, the message box that flashed to which I said, okay, it means that once the consumption has been posted, if you have posted excess consumption, you cannot open this particular transaction number and edit it to make it to 4. The system will not allow you to make it to 4. To fix the mistake that I have done of issuing 1 kg excess can be corrected by posting a contra entry. The contra entry is posted as issue return. Issue return means you're taking back that excess quantity which you had posted to Grab and Go. So that issue return is posted from the other screen. This is called stock adjustment. So stock adjustment is the screen from where you will post issue return transactions if there has been an excess consumption posted for any item. So here I will say type will be IR, which is the transaction type, which is issue return from department. The date on which I am taking back the excess quantity, the store from which I am taking, the store into which I am taking back the excess quantity, and the department from which I am taking. So here it will be Grab and Go. From department will be Grab and Go. enter item details. Now I don't remember which. Okay, this is 911100089. So this is the item that I'm taking back. Quantity received is the excess quantity that you're taking back into the store. So I say 1 kg. You need to give the specific issue number or the consumption transaction number against which you are taking a return. So if you remember the number, issue transaction number, you can type in here or you click in this column. The moment you click on this column, the system will automatically detect and show you that for this particular item, there are right now just showing me only one consumption transaction that I had posted, which is 270 dated 30th June 2023. I had posted a quantity of 5. So I select this particular transaction and I click on OK. It will display the issue number and the issue date. And you can give in a reason or remarks why you are taking the quantity back. And then you say save. Again, it says this document cannot be modified once made, which means, again, if you have taken a return of excess quantity, you will not be able to open that particular transaction and increase and decrease the quantity of return that you have taken. To post or to fix the excess return that you have taken, you will have to go back and post a consumption again. So RI, which means regular issue, which is a consumption transaction, and issue return, which is the return that you're taking from the department, both these two transactions work as a couple. So if you have done excess of regular issue, to fix that, you will post an issue return. If you have done an excess of issue return, to fix that, you will post a regular issue. So regular issue and issue return work together, which is why the message says that once you have posted the transaction, which means once the transaction number has been generated, you cannot open that particular transaction and edit it. To fix what has gone wrong, you will have to post a contra, which can be a regular issue for issue return and issue return for regular issue. I hope this concept is clear to everyone. Yes? Is the concept clear to everyone? Hello?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. So this is issues and stock adjustment. The correct stock position is the screen from where all the concept of physical stock taking is handled using the correct stock position screen. So the correct stock position screen is the place from where you will update, or you can or the user can update the system quantity in stock as per the physical count that he has taken from the store. So this is the period, this is the financial year, the current financial year, this is the current period in which the operations are happening, and this is the current business date. The adjustment date can be any date on which you are actually updating the system stock with the physical count. So by default, it is the business date, which can be put in as any back date or any date on which you are posting the adjustment. To post an adjustment, all you need to do is select the store type. You can select the particular store within the store type, and the department that you will choose is adjustment, and you say search. The moment you say search, it will list all the items which are a part of the store, which is 9100. On the right hand side, against each item on the right hand side, there is a column called system quantity in stock. So as on this date, as on the adjustment date, the system quantity in stock is this, which is 81, 8.93, 25, 72 for each of these items. Now, as a store in charge, when the store in charge goes and takes a physical count of each of these items, whatever is the physical count that he has noted, that is what he will enter here. Say, for example, this particular item, as per the system, is showing as 81 kgs, but when he actually took the physical count, it is 100. So he will enter the figure of 100, whatever is the count that he has taken. Similarly, for this one, say it is showing 8.09, but it is actually 10. Again, here the system quantity in stock for this third item is showing as 3, but what he has actually counted is, say, 10 again. Then here the fourth one, he sees it as 25, but when he counted, he actually found 15. So he's reducing. So this is the column where he enters whatever he has physically counted, which is quantity in stocking unit. And then you can say save. This save is a temporary save. It will not go and update the system quantity in stock, because the physical stock taking process is a long process. It's a tedious process. It may take days, which is why when you click on save, it will save whatever quantity that you have ordered, whatever quantity that you have counted, but it will not update the system quantity in stock. When you have finally entered the entire list of items, when you have finally entered the physical count of the entire list of items, and thereafter you are ready to update the system quantity in stock, at that point of time, you will have to go and say post adjustments. So when you say post adjustments, adjustment transactions will be made for all selected items. When I click on OK, it is now that these items, the system quantity in stock you will see gets updated as per whatever physical count that I had entered. And if I had increased, and whatever is the difference quantity, which means if it was showing 85 here and I posted 100, so the difference is posted as an adjustment receipt if you are increasing the stock. And if you are decreasing the stock, which means it was 25 and I brought it down to 15, so which means the difference of 10 I have reduced, that will be posted as an adjustment issue. They are adjustment transactions. All this information you can see, whatever you have transacted for an item, whatever information, be it receipt from a supplier, be it consumption posting, be it stock adjustment, whatever you have done on a particular item, it will appear in the stock ledger report. So if I say for example, if I take this particular item, this is how I do my correct stock position. Now, if I want to see this particular transaction, there is this section called reports of inventory. So in reports of inventory, there are various reports. There are reports pertaining to receipt from supplier within the receiving. You can click on the plus sign and there are a whole lot of reports for receive. This is when you click on the purchase, you will see separate various reports for purchases. When you click on the requisitions plus sign, you will see the list reports required for requisition. So here there is, for stock report, there is something called as a stock valuation. And there is also something called as the stock ledger, which is within the transactions report. So the stocks ledger is a ledger report which will show, it's a transparent report which displays all transactions that you have posted for a particular item. So let me take this item. Let's see what happens. I select the store type and I have selected the store as well. It defaults the date range starting from the first of the financial year to the current business date. So I do export to PDF. So it is listing that for this particular item, 9111006, these are the list of transactions that have been posted starting from 1st of April, where there have been so many receipts from supplier. Then there was an adjustment, stock adjustment, IVAAI, stock adjustment that was done on the 30th of April. and so on and so forth. So it will show you the whole list of transactions till this is the one which I posted right now. I increased the quantity from 85 to 100. So it has posted a transaction type called IVAAR. This is an indication, this transaction type indicates that this adjustment has been posted from the correct stock position screen, and the amount, the quantity of adjustment that was posted is 19. So this is, it will reflect all transactions that you have posted for a particular item or a range of items or an item group, whatever you want to see. So this is a stocks ledger report, which is a transparent report. Okay, so we complete our inventory cycle here, which is the purchase and receiving cycle, as well as the inventory movement or the inventory management. Now moving on to the accounts payable. From here, we will move on to accounts payable, which is when we did a store receipt, when we received the items from the supplier, we said confirm to AP, which means that record should reflect in accounts payables. So I'm moving into the accounts payables module now. Accounting and accounts payables. So before I go into accounts payables, just give me a minute. Okay, so this is the payables workflow. So this is the payables workflow. So receiving data. So it starts from receiving data. Receiving data is the confirm to AP button that we click, which means the information that is coming from the materials management. So receiving data, which means you have booked the liability. If there were any advance payments to the supplier, if we had made any advance payments to the supplier, advance payments can be recorded from the purchase order screen or from a screen in the payables module itself, direct advance. So you can settle the advance payments here. And then if there are any adjustments that needs to be posted, you post the adjustment, you authorize, it moves on to the payment. If there is a person who has to authorize the payment, he authorizes the payment, which is called as the approval of purchase journals. Once it is approved, you move on to generating the checks, printing the checks for the payment, or you initiate a bank transfer for the payment, which again, if there is a process of signatory or approval required, it is signed and approved and the payment is released. At this point of time, when the payment is released to the supplier, it is only then that the liability is settled. in the books of accounts, the payment is released to the suppliers here. So this is a very straightforward payables workflow. How each of it works, I will tell you. The supplier bills that is here, supplier bills can be posted directly into the payables module, or like you had seen just now, the supplier bill I had entered at the time I was receiving the items. So whenever is the bills received from the supplier, you can enter it either at the time of receiving the items from the supplier, or whenever later on he gives the bills, you can post it directly to the accounts payables module. Going back to the application, this is the payables module. So it starts from here. Pay advance is available here. So whenever there is an advance money to be paid to the supplier, you can use the pay advance screen. So let's say I have paid, I will post an advance transaction for Agoda, the supplier from which I had received items. I click on the add button. The transaction type by default will always display as AD, which is advance. I select the supplier to whom I am paying the advance. So I say Agoda. This is the supplier. This is the date when I am posting the advance transaction. I am making a payment of, say, 50,000 here, advance to supplier. Okay. And then you will see at the bottom is the general ledger distribution. This general ledger distribution is actually the bridge by which the information flows into the general ledger module so that your financial reports print correctly. So for every transaction that you post, in accounts payable, there is a section of general ledger distribution where you tell that because of this transaction that I'm posting, the advance transaction that I'm posting, which are the respective ledger account codes that should be affected. So here in this case, it is advance to supplier debit and my bank account credit. So it is automatically displaying the ledger. I've entered the amount, I give the particulars. The moment I enter the particulars, the description in the ledger, the description in the general ledger distribution appears automatically. The bank here is the default bank that I have set up in my AP control screen. So it is showing MUFG. Now, just in case it so happens that the customer is not using the default bank to release or to pay the advance, he's using another bank ID, you can always remove the default bank ID from here, do a drop down, select the particular bank ID. I've selected Vietcom. And the moment I select the bank ID, you will see that the ledger distribution, the ledger account code changes to the one which is defined for this particular bank. So I am saying that this advance money of 50,000 is will be paid out of Vietcom Bank. And I say save. So this is an advance transaction which has been posted. Now, posting this advance transaction does not mean that the money has gone to the supplier. For the payment process of this is just a journal that you have posted for advance. To process the payment of this advance or to finally pay out this 50,000 rupees to the supplier as an advance, you click on this link as payment process, which means it will take you to another screen, or you can access this payment process screen from outside from the main menu itself later on. So if there are multiple advance transactions to be posted, the user can continue to post the advanced transactions here, and he can process the payment of these advanced money later on from this screen called payment process, which is accessible from the main menu also. On the other hand, if the working is such that the user has a habit of working in which he records the advance journal as well as he processes the payment at the same time, he can access the payment process screen from here, from this link. He can also check the statement of account while he is posting the advanced transaction, the statement of account of this particular supplier, Agoda company. Now, to process the payment of advance, This is the payment, this is the process payment screen. This process payment screen works for both purchase journals as well as advance money. So if you are paying an advance or if you are making the final payment after settlement with advances, both of the activities happen from this screen, which is the payment process. So there are two options, PJVs and advances. So right now I am processing the payment of advance money. I select the option of advances here. I enter the supplier. If I'm doing it for a single supplier, I will enter the same supplier name for AP account from and AP account to. Otherwise, if it is a range, I can enter the range or I can just leave it blank and click on the search button. It will list all the advanced transactions for various suppliers that are recorded in the system, and you can choose which are the ones for which you want to process the advanced money right now. So Agoda. Now, is this a bank transfer happening? I let it be bank transfer, or is it checks? So I say bank transfer. The method is online transfer. The transfer date, say I'll do first or maybe second. And this is not the bank from which I am making the payment. I choose Vietcom Bank. All right. And I click on the search button. So there are two options here, assign and print, which means you are assigning a one serial number to this particular payment, or you can say assign, print and release, which means all the three activities you are assigning a series, a number, a sequence number to this particular transaction of 50,000. If you have to print, if it is in form of a check, you will print the check and you will also release it directly. So I can do this. This is when I clicked on the search button, it is showing me for Agoda company on the 1st of June, there is an amount of 50,000 against this particular advance to supplier, and I say save. When I click on the save button, now the system will not only assign a number to this particular transaction, it will print these. Okay. It will print the payment authorization because it requires an authorization. So this is enclosed. Please find invoices to be authorized. Check number. It is not a check number. It's just a bank transaction number of 50,000. This is a document, a payment authorization document. Plus, because this is a bank transfer that I'm doing, so payment request, which is a PDF file where I said that this is a request that you make to the branch manager. So this is to the branch manager where you say that please initiate an online transfer amounting to 50,000. This is the covering letter which you can send via email. And let me show you. Wait. Let me show you the payment details. There's another Excel file that will open up that will be downloaded, which is the payment details. Payment details will have the account number, the hotel's name, and the company, the beneficiary's name, the supplier's name to whom, and plus his details, the beneficiary account number, the beneficiary's bank address, and the amount, so that the bank manager knows to whom the transfer has to be done. So this is an Excel sheet that opens up. Right now, it is just showing me one supplier because I have chosen only a single supplier. If there were multiple suppliers for whom I was initiating the payment, it would have listed all the suppliers with their respective details. Now, beneficiary, IFSC code, beneficiary, bank account number, and bank address, so and so forth, has to be filled in, has to be present in the supplier master list. When you are uploading your supplier master, if you have entered the beneficiary account number and the beneficiary bank address, it will reflect here. So whatever you have uploaded in the master list will display as far as the bank information is concerned. It says checks have been printed, selected checks have been released also. So released means when it has released, directly it has been released, it means that the advance money has been paid to the supplier. So when you go to the statement of account, or even when you go back to pay advances screen, and if you try to locate, this is the inquiry screen. So for Agoda, if I try to locate any advance transaction, I click on the search button, it is showing me this advance supplier, and it is also showing me the status, which means the check status, it has been released. So if you take your mouse over, you will see a small pop-up which says that the check status is released, payment of 50,000 has been done on the 2nd of June 2023. All right, so this is how I pay my advances, how I release payment, how I record my advances and release the payment of advances. Now, moving ahead, I go to this part, which is receiving data. So now I have paid the advance to Agoda already. The Agoda has delivered the items that I wanted. The store in charge or the receiving in charge has already confirmed that transaction to accounts payable. So I, as an accounts person, will be able to see all the confirmed receipts from inventory in this screen, which is the process receiving screen. So in the process receiving screen, you can select you can process the receipts into purchase journals for a particular supplier, or you can just leave this supplier blank, this field of AP account blank, and click on the search button. When you click on the search button, it will list all the suppliers who have delivered items, inventory items, whose receipts have been confirmed to accounts payable. Okay, now let me do it like I did not enter Agoda here. There are a whole lot of supplier list appearing here with this receiving number. Receiving number is the GRN number against which the supplier has delivered items worth rupees so much. This was the date of receiving. The invoice number for Agoda is appearing here. Why? Because I had entered the invoice number at the time when I was receiving the items itself. Whereas for the rest of the suppliers, the invoice number is not appearing because the supplier number was not entered, because it can be the supplier did not give the bill at the time of receiving, which is why it was not entered. So I, as an accounts person, once I've received the bill, I can enter the bill number here. So BTB 001 and the date on which the bill has been received. So I say 28th. Okay. Now I choose these two transactions. I'm processing it for Agoda and I am processing for B2B BTB01. So I select these two suppliers and at the bottom there is a next button. So this is like a wizard screen. It will guide you. So I say next. When I say next, it will show me only those two selected transactions of two suppliers that I selected in the previous screen. It is showing me a due date. The due date by default is the receiving date, the date on which the items were received. The due date, if you have defined the number of credit days for the suppliers in the supplier master, the due date will calculate as per the number of credit days and show the respective date. Now, because there are no number of credit days defined for each of these suppliers, so the due date has been defaulted as your receipt date or the bill date. So let it remain like this. I click on, now I want to process these two suppliers. I want to convert these two into a purchase journal. So I select, before you proceed, you can select the particular transaction and click here to view exactly what is the general ledger distribution. So you will see if there were any, now there are no deductions. If there was any VAT applied at the time of receipt, you would have seen the VAT details here. Plus, it is also showing you the ledger account code of inventory food, which will be debited, because when you book this liability or when you finally process this liability, the journal that should be posted is inventory food or the inventory asset account debit and the sundry creditors control account credit. The sundry creditors control account credit, the sundry creditors ledger account code is already defined in the accounts payables control screen. So here it will only show the other side of the journal and not the credit side of the journal. So all you need to verify is that the ledger account which is being debited because of the receipt of these items is correct or not. So once this is done, you say close. You can do the same for the other one also if you wish to, if you have any doubts. So this is again inventory food, which is perfect. And now I say next. So when I say next, it will show me pick up the first supplier, which is Agoda, the PJV type, which is the purchase journal voucher type, the transaction type which the system understands is voucher payable. The date on which I am recording this purchase journal is 30th June 2023, and the bill or the invoice number or the bill that I'm processing is AG001 dated 30th June 2023. So I say yes to this. Once I say yes, this is the voucher payable. This is a print that automatically gets printed. And then invoice is posted, and this is the purchase journal number for Agoda, which is generated. It starts from 5001056. When you say OK, it will automatically, the system automatically detects that for this particular supplier, Agoda company, there is an advance money. So it opens up the screen where it is showing you the supplier. It is showing you the voucher payable details. Okay, voucher payable, this is the purchase value of the purchase that I have done. And at the bottom here, it has detected and it is displaying the advance money that we have paid. So advance was paid on 1st of June worth 50,000. The system is prompting, do you want to knock off or settle this advance here against this particular purchase? When you say apply, it will pick up this amount and display the amount here in the column called apply amount 50,000. You may want to settle the entire 50,000 against this particular value of purchase, or you may choose to settle only a part of the advance money. So which is why this column is an editable column, and you can choose, say, I am not going to settle the entire amount, I'm just doing 25,000 right now. So you can choose to do that. Otherwise, if you are knocking off or settling the entire amount, you don't have to change anything. Leave the amount the way it is and you say save. So when I say save, it means it has settled the 50,000 advance money against the final purchase that I made. I come back, it takes me back to the same screen again where it has picked up the next supplier, which I had selected. It is showing me the bill, and then I say yes. Again, it will print the voucher payable here for this particular supplier, and it says invoice posted. The next number is 5001057. So it will go back to the original screen, process receiving screen, and remove those two transactions which I have just processed. So what it is listing now are the rest of the transactions of various other suppliers which are yet to be processed. So this is how we do. This is how we had it detected. I booked the liability. In the receiving data is the process receiving screen where I booked the liability. I created a purchase journal. It detected an advance money that I had paid to the supplier. So I chose to settle the advance money. There were no adjustments or deductions. The payment authorization printed. I have yet to do this payment because now I have just settled the purchase journal against the advance. So we will do this processing of payment exactly the way we had done the processing of the advance money that we paid to Agoda. So I go back to the screen. Accounts payable, process payment is the screen where I will process. So purchase journals, I choose Agoda here. And I say search. So Agoda, it is showing me an outstanding amount of 1,553,500. Okay. It is showing me that there was an invoice. This invoice, this is the invoice number, invoice date that I am processing. The payment is for this amount. So I click on the process button here, do exactly the same, assign and print. I say save, the system will assign a check number or assign a sequence. I'm making this payment from MUFG. So it will assign one of the sequence numbers to the transaction. It will show me the payment authorization letter. You can print the payment request as well as the payment details, which you have to send to the bank so that the payment can be initiated. And finally, the check is released. So which means the payment has been made. So after this entire cycle is over, if you want to see what exactly has happened for that particular supplier, there is something called as the statement of account. So this statement of account, if I print for Agoda, by default, it starts from the first of the financial year to the current financial year. I say include settle because I want to see transactions which have been settled as well as those which are still outstanding. So I click on the search button. The date range can be modified for whatever date range you want to see. So it will show me that this is the advance transaction that was posted, 50,000 of advance was paid. When you in the settlement column, you will see a button of view. When you click this, you will be able to see which is the purchase journal against which this 50,000 advance was settled. So I say close. There was a payment that was released, online transfer from this particular bank that had happened amounting to this much. So you click on the view button, you will see that it was paid against this particular voucher payable, which was settled. You will also see the voucher payable, which was initially processed. 1563 is the receipt number, the GRN number, the goods receipt number for which this purchase journal was posted, amounting to 1603500. So when you click on the view button, it will show you the advance transaction, which was settled, as well as the payment the final payment that was released. Okay. So the statement of account will show you exactly whatever has happened on that particular supplier for that particular supplier at any given point of time. At the bottom, it will also show you the net balance of credit and debit if there is any outstanding. Now, say for example, now this entire process is done. Okay, I posted I gave an advance money to the supplier. I received the items in my materials management. The materials management confirmed the receipt of the items of that particular value to accounts payable. I processed that bill into a purchase journal. I settled the bill. I settled the purchase journal against the advance money that I had given to him, and I made the final payment. So this is a complete cycle on Agoda that I showed you right now. Now, say for example, after making the final payment, for some reason, you realize that there was a mistake or you settled the advance against an incorrect purchase journal of the supplier. To fix that, you will have to go back one step at a time. So when I say go back one step at a time, the process is transaction reversal. You will have to do transaction reversal one by one. Okay, say you get an information or the user gets accounts person gets an information from the materials management or the stores person saying that there is a mistake in that GRN or the bill number that you have processed. We need to fix it. You need to reverse the transaction. So the first step will be to reverse the payment. You will take one step back at a time. So the last step that we took was processing the payment, which means releasing the payment. So while reversal also, you will have to do reverse payment first. So I select from the drop-down list, I can select that for Agoda, this was the payment that was released. I click on the search button. When I click on search button, it will show me the ledger account code of the bank from which I had initiated the bank transfer, the payment was made. The reversal date by default is the current business date. You can change the reversal date to whichever date you want to show the reversal of the transactions. The reverse particulars you don't have to change because it already displays all information that is required. This is the supplier and this is the purchase journal number against which this payment was made. Okay, so when I have to reverse the payment, all I need to do is that locate the payment transaction number, click on search and say save. So my payment transaction, the PM transaction that you saw in the statement of account of the supplier gets reversed and there is a credit invoice that is posted. Okay, there is a reversal credit. The transaction type is called RC. Now that I have reversed the payment, I can go ahead and reverse the PJV. So, but when I locate the PJV here, if I try locating the PJV here, let's see what happens. I select the supplier Agoda and I say search. It will say no transactions qualified. Why does it say no transactions qualified? Because the particular purchase journal has been settled against an advanced transaction. So which means I have to first unsettle the settlement that I did with the advanced transaction, which means I need to delink the settlement that I did with the advanced transaction. So for delinking, before you reverse the PJV, for delinking, you can go to the statement of account. In the statement of account, you choose the supplier. You say include settle. You click on search. You will find this advance and this voucher payable. So you choose the voucher payable here. You click on the view button here. You will see that there is an advance transaction which was settled. So now in this column of dealing, tick the checkbox of dealing and say save and close. So transaction successfully dealing, which means the advance of 50,000 which was settled against the purchase journal, the settlement has been undone. So now you will see, you already see a reversal credit because of the payment reversal that you did. This was the final payment that I had received, that I had released, which was reversed. So now it becomes reversal credit. Close. Oh, sorry, not close. I go to Agoda, search, search. So you will see a AC, advance reversal credit, advance credit. Because I reversed the settlement of advance against the voucher payable, you will see an additional transaction called advance credit, which means the settlement has been delinked. Now that my settlement has been delinked, I can go back to the transaction reversal screen and reverse the purchase journal. I'm reversing the purchase journal because the store person has to fix the GRN. Until the time I don't reverse the purchase journal, the storekeeper will not be able to fix, or he's not allowed the GRN to be altered. So I say Agoda. This is my supplier Agoda. I click on the search button. It will show me the particular voucher payable, which is the purchase journal. So this is the purchase journal amounting to 1603500. I say save. This is the date of PJV reversal. Like the date of payment reversal, there is a PJV reversal date, which ideally is the date on which the PJV is posted. Purchase journal is recorded. So I click on the save button here. And again, there is a debit invoice posted. So now that my purchase journal is reversed, in accounts payable, you will see that particular transaction of Agoda back in the process receiving screen. So when you say Agoda and you say search, you will see the receipt number 1563, the transaction reappears here. When the transaction reappears here, the accounts person can inform the inventory or the stores in charge, and the stores in charge, store receipt from vendor, he will access this screen of store receipt from vendor. He will locate the particular receipt that he needs to fix. So this was a receipt on the 30th. I click on the search button. It is showing me let me just close this. Okay, what was the receipt number? 1563 only, I think. So you can say view and edit. The receipt opens up and the store in charge can say unconfirmed. So the moment he says unconfirmed, the entire receipt becomes editable, and whatever quantity that he wants to fix, he can fix. So he can say that, sorry, this was not 10, this was 15 quantity that we have received. So he can edit and fix in 15 quantity, say save, fix the GRN, or if the bill number was incorrect or the bill date was incorrect, he can fix whatever he wants to, and then finally again say confirm to AP, so that it goes back to AP and AP is able to run the entire process which I just showed you. So 1563 goes back to accounts payable. So now in accounts payable, again, it will start appearing in process receiving and the entire cycle can be run. Okay, so I say Agoda, search, why not? Oh, I didn't say confirm. Confirm to AP. This also, this is just one item. So here I go to process receiving screen. And when I do Agoda here, say search, it will reappear with the new invoice amount. So you can run the entire process again. So this is the cycle when it happens, when the information comes from materials management. For all purchase journals, which are not related to raw materials, which are not related to inventory suppliers, for such purchase journals, you can post the purchase journal directly from this screen, which is called as the Make PJV screen. Okay, so Make PJV screen, again, the information that you feed in is exactly the same. So it is voucher payable. You click on the add button. The type is voucher payable. This is the date on which you're posting the voucher payable. Let me take another supplier. Say I'm taking booking.com. Okay. I enter the particulars, say advertising expenses. All right. The invoice number, the bill number which I have received from this supplier. This is not an inventory supplier. This is just a service provider for whom I am posting a purchase journal. So I enter the bill number, the bill date, the amount. If there is any VAT applicable on this 20,000 on this invoice, you will select the VAT from here. So I say 5% VAT. So the moment I select 5% VAT here, it will calculate the VAT on 20,000, show you the VAT amount and the taxable amount. You don't have to worry about deductions because deductions will not be required. This is in the general ledger distribution. At the bottom, you will see the ledger account code, which has been defined for this particular VAT code in the VAT setup screen. The VAT setup screen is available in the materials management, and that is the exact setup which is used both by materials management as well as accounts payable. So I had selected the code of 5%. It calculated 5% on the invoice amount, and it is also showing me the ledger account code, which will be affected. So it is showing me 952.4 for this particular ledger account code that I had mapped against this particular VAT code. Okay. Now what is left is in the general ledger distribution, what I need to now enter is the expense journal. The expense ledger account code that would be debited. Because this is an advertising purchase journal that I'm doing, so let me try to see if there is anything for advertising journal. So this is S&M advertising local, sales and marketing. I select the ledger account code. When I select the ledger account code, the system prompts me, which is the department code as well. This ledger account code is mapped to sales and department. So I selected the sales and department. This is the amount of debit. And so the journal that will be posted in this case is 1904.8 goes to the VAT ledger account code debit. 18095.2 will be posted to sales and marketing advertising debit and sundry creditors control account code credit. So now I say save and close, or save and close if you want to get out of the screen, save and new if you want to keep processing more purchase journals. So the invoice is posted and the purchase journal number generated is this one. All purchase journal numbers start from the sequence of 5. All advances start from the sequence of 2. So now the moment I posted the purchase journal for booking.com, the system detected that there is a debit note posted, that there is a debit note line for this particular supplier. So if you remember when we were processing Agoda, it detected an advanced transaction. So similarly, for this particular supplier, it has detected a debit note. So the moment it pops up the debit note, you can choose to settle the debit note against this amount of purchase journal. So I say, so here apply amount. Now apply amount is more than the purchase journal. So I will just apply the amount of 20,000 here. The debit note amount is more than the purchase journal. So right now I am just settling part of the debit note amount, which is 20,000 against this particular purchase voucher that I have posted. I say save. So the settlement is done. So this is how you will post for, this is how purchase journals are recorded for non-inventory suppliers. So now I have recorded the purchase journal. I have settled it against the debit note that was detected. So now I want to process the final payment of 20,000. Okay. So again, it is exactly the same, no difference. I will go to process payment here. The PJV, this is a PJV processing that I'm doing of 20,000. I say search, it will show me booking.com outstanding amount is this much. So there may be more transactions available. Let me just see. So this is debit note also included, okay? Payables, let me go to first check the statement of account of this. I say include settled and I say search. So advertising expenses of 20,000 here. Okay, it has been knocked off against a debit note of 20,000. Plus, there is also a voucher payable. Now, because this is completely settled, so there is no outstanding. So the voucher payable that I had posted, I completely knocked off against a debit note. So which is why there is no outstanding amount left here. It is completely, I don't need to pay 20,000 because it's completely knocked off against the debit note. What I need to pay is, of course, the others, which are an outstanding amount. Okay, so this is what it is reflecting. It is, there is no outstanding for voucher payables here. The only outstanding voucher payable is this one, which was posted on the 14th of June 2023, amounting to this much. So when now if I need to process the payment, exactly the same, nothing, no difference. Process payment, choose PJV, you select the supplier, you select the bank from which you want to make the payment. Okay, if you are doing a check payment, then you select check, you select the bank from which you want to make the payment, and you will have to give the check stationery, the check leaf number. If you're printing one check, you will say the end check number is also 1. If you're printing 10 checks, then maybe you will say the end check number is 10. So you'll have to enter the check series that you are printing if it is through checks. If it is bank transfer, online transfer, then you don't have to do anything. You just need to choose the bank from which you are initiating the bank transfer. So let me leave it like this. I say search. This is the transaction process. I select assign prints and release. The payment is done. Okay, payment authorization, everything is done. The details is printed. The payment is complete. So now if you check the statement of account, you will see that there is no outstanding for this particular supplier. There is one debit note which is still outstanding that I need to settle. Okay, rest purchase journals, there is nothing outstanding to be paid. So this is how you post or you record for non-inventory suppliers. The only difference is you use the make PJV screen instead of the process receiving screen. Again, for non-inventory suppliers also, if there is anything that you need to correct, payment was released on a wrong date or the amount that was settled was wrong, you will have to go through the same process of transaction reversal. If the payment has been released, you will have to first reverse the payment, then unsettled any settled transactions, be it an advance or a debit note, then come and reverse the PJV and you restart again by posting the correct purchase journal from here. So the process or the steps of recording in accounts payables remains same, but the only difference is that for inventory suppliers, there is a separate screen to record the PJV, which is called process receiving. And for non-inventory suppliers, the PJV can be processed from the make PJV screen. To post any kind of debit or credit transactions, which means debit or credit notes as an adjustment, you will use this screen, which is called post debit and credit notes. So post debit and credit notes add, you click on the add button. There will be two options available, credit note and debit note. By default, it is credit note, which is why the transaction type displays as CN. If you choose debit note, it will automatically become debit note DN here. This is the date on which you are posting. You will choose the supplier to whom you are posting. Let me take a familiar date. Okay, let's take Expedia this time. Maybe. So I have selected this particular supplier, Expedia. Amount, this is the amount for which I'm posting a debit note, say 15,000. Whatever is the particulars that you want to enter for the debit note, and then you enter the ledger account code. The ledger account code, the expense ledger account code, that would be credited. So here, say I do it for, I don't know, I'm posting it to traveling expenses. So this is traveling expenses is booked to a lot of departments. So I'll select for which particular, so it is listing to all the departments to which this particular ledger account code is mapped. So right now, the debit note that I'm posting is for which cost center. So let me take it for, say, rooms division only. So this is 15,000 credit, and the sundry creditors control account code would be debited. So I say save and close if I'm done with it, save and new if I want to proceed to posting more debit notes. There is an Excel template available here. So like we have Excel templates, like you saw Excel templates to upload masters, you saw Excel templates to upload the requisitions. Similarly, there is an Excel template available here where you can post, you can record all the details, as in the ledger details, the ledger distribution details, the amount, the supplier, everything, and come here and upload the data instead of using the screen to enter the information. Additional attachments, any additional documents that you want to attach is possible using this link. So I say save and close. So for Expedia, there is a debit note posted. So this is how, now the moment I post the debit note, system automatically detects that there is an outstanding voucher payable. There is a voucher payable that was posted on 14th of June amounting to this much. So it is prompting me that since you've posted a debit note of 15,000, do you want to knock it off against this particular voucher payable? Do you want to knock it off against this particular purchase journal that you had recorded on 14th June? So I can say apply amount and I say, yes, I am applying 15,000. Okay. So what I will finally pay is 2,877,376 minus 15,000 because I am knocking off this 15,000 of debit note against this purchase journal. And I say save. So the transaction is settled. Okay. I posted a debit note and I settled it against a voucher payable. So now when I go to process payment and I choose Expedia, it will show me only the outstanding amount of the voucher payables. So it will show me Expedia, it is showing me outstanding amount of this much. Okay, the process remains. Now I can release the payment. Now or whenever I have to release the payment, I can process the online bank transfer process. I hope this entire cycle is clear to everyone. Accounts payable is pretty simple and it is straightforward. Okay, now there are at times, it may be required that there are some voucher payables or some debit notes that you have recorded for a supplier. They may be disputed because there is a dispute between the hotel and the supplier. So you can mark all such transactions as disputed in this particular screen, dispute transactions. When you search, it will list the transactions that you have posted for that particular supplier, and you can mark it as disputed if they're with the remarks and say save. So these such transactions which are marked as disputed will not reflect in the process payment screen so that no user by mistake processes the payment for that particular disputed transaction. So once the dispute is over, you have to come back to the screen, untick the checkbox, say save. Only thereafter will it start reflecting in the process payment screen so that you can make the payment. So that is dispute transactions. You may want to, at times it may happen that, there are probably sister concerns where one of the company comes and says that please transfer the voucher payables or the transactions that you've posted in our name to our sister concern. In that case, you can use the transfer transaction screen. The transfer transaction screen allows you to transfer records from one supplier ID to another. So I say Expedia here, and I say search, it will show me the debit note. I say select, and I say if Expedia says that we have another sister concern, please transfer it in that name. I can select that particular transaction, click on next. You will see another field to payable. So from payable means from Expedia transfer to which supplier. So I choose and say, for example, I'm doing it for booking.com here. So I say I'm transferring the debit note from Expedia to this particular supplier and I say save. So now the transaction will start reflecting in booking.com and not Expedia. So if you look at the statement of account of booking and say search, you will see this debit note, and it will also show you that it has come in from Expedia. Okay, it has come in from Expedia. So similarly, if you see the statement of account of Expedia, here, you will see a TC, a transfer credit transaction of this particular debit note, of the debit note transfer transaction, which will also show you that this particular amount has been transferred, debit note has been transferred to booking.com. So when you click on the view button here, you will see this is the debit note which was there, which has been moved to Expedia now, to booking.com from Expedia. All right. So this is what is available in accounts payables. Apart from that, the AP accounts inquiry is a good screen which allows you to see the aging of various supplier categories. So this is a drill down screen. It will show, these are the filters available. By default, it is showing from the first category to the last, including all the suppliers. So when you click on the search button, these are the list of supplier categories. And this is the aging that you are seeing based on the aging bucket that has been defined in the control. Now, if I want to track, say for general suppliers, all I do is go to the row and double click on that particular row. It will list all the suppliers which are a part of general supplier category and with the aging. Now, if I want to track one particular supplier, say I want to do it for the first ARM01, I double click on this row. It will open up the statement of account of this supplier. I click on the search button. Now, I can say to include settled and I say search. It will show me all the transactions which have been posted for this particular supplier and that have been settled. Right now, I see there are no settled transactions. This is only one outstanding voucher payable available here. You double click on this, the system will open up the purchase journal voucher which has been posted. So this is an amount. The bill number was 131 on the 6th of June. This is the general ledger distribution that you see here. So you will know exactly, you can track a record, one particular record of a supplier starting from, and you can just go back starting from the AP accounts inquiry. This drill down process just helps any user to counter check or cross check whatever has been recorded for any supplier. Okay, starting from the aging. Apart from that, reports of accounts payables. Reports of accounts payables, there are a whole lot of reports. Some of the most important reports that we refer to is, of course, the statement of account. The statement of account, which is available in this as a screen, is also available in form of a report. The aging reports, which is the aging report that you can print from here. Then within voucher payables, you will be able to print the voucher payable register, which will show you all the purchase journals that you have recorded. The receiving data will show you all the information of goods receipt note that has been transferred from, that has been confirmed from the materials management to the accounts payables. Then there is something called as the sundry creditors control, there is a sundry creditors details report, which will show you every transaction for every supplier. And there is a summarized format of that particular report as well. So these are some of the important reports that all users often use. Other than that, there is check register, which will let you, there is a check register detail and summary, which will tell you the details of all the checks or even the online bank transfers that you have initiated for various suppliers. Master list and parameters, if you want to print, you can print from here at the top. I hope the accounts payable cycle is clear to everyone. I'm moving ahead to accounts receivables. Accounts receivables, like I'm sure all of you understand, it is exactly the opposite of accounts payables. So accounts receivables is what we are dealing with. If we are consider ourselves as the hotel, it is the money that we have to recover from our debtors. So accounts receivable, the process starts from transferring the transactions that have been recorded in PMS and settled to accounts receivable or settled to City Ledger. Those transactions have to be imported into the accounts receivables module. So if you remember, in the first session, I had said that When it is a third party PMS, there is something called as interface here. In the interface, you will have to do transfer data to back office first. So transfer data to back office to accounts receivable. There is a transfer data to back office to general ledger also. To general ledger, it is the revenue files, the revenue which is already recovered by the hotel. That is what will get transferred to general ledger. And what has been settled to city ledger, what has yet to be recovered, that will go into accounts receivable. So first step will be to transfer data to back office. Option will be accounts receivable. The file, which is the MFRV file and the MFCL file that is available, that will be selected from here. You will see the details and you'll say transfer. Once this transfer is complete, the accounts receivable person in the accounting module, in the accounts receivable, you will be able to see the modify front office, those transactions in modify front office transactions here. So in modify front office transaction screen right now, I don't think I have any data to show you because I don't have the interface with the front office. Let me see. So the modify front office transaction screen looks like this. You can select for a specific, you can select a specific debtor account code, or you just say a blind search. When you say a blind search, right now it's saying no records found because there are no transactions. Let me try something. No. Let me explain the modify front office transactions. So when I click on the search button, it will list, it will show me all the city ledger transactions which have been posted in PMS and transferred into the accounts receivable module. So this is the screen where the accounts person can verify the records that have come in from PMS. They can verify the AR account or the debtor account to which each of the records are reflecting. If there is any incorrect or discrepancy, he can fix it here. He can replace the accounts, the debtor account code with the correct debtor's account. He can enter more details in the particular section. If that particular record needs to be split between two debtor accounts, that can be done using the split transaction. While verifying, he can access the guest ledger to check whatever records or whatever amount that is displaying here is correct as per the guest ledger inquiry. So once everything is verified, once the corrections have been made, the user will click on the save button so that the corrections are saved. And once it is saved, only after that will these transactions which has come in, that have come in from the PMS, will start reflecting in the statement of account of the individual debtors. I really don't know. There are no AR account created. Oh, this is the training server. Yesterday I was using the other server. Let me just do a few. Oh. Let me just add one here. Okay, so this is all right. Let me go to the property now. Unfortunately, I don't have data to show you from front office. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if there was any settlement done to the accounts receivable for Prol'IFIC first, the debtor account ID that I've just created, you can check that only after the modify front office transaction screen. Once you have modified, saved your modification in the modify front office transaction screen, you can come into the statement. And when you say click on the search button, it will show you. Right now, there's nothing, it's absolutely blank. So it will show you the transactions and the type. In the column of type, what you will see is FD. FD is front office debit for all the debit transactions, and FC for front office credit. So you will see the PMS transactions settled to City Ledger as FD and FC for a particular debtor account code in the statement of account. Okay. Now, as far as operations in receivables is concerned, which means once the FD, FC transactions have come in, you will initiate, you will send reminders, or you will send a notification to the debtor to make the payment for the list of let me just show you in some other property if I can, so that you're able to understand the process better instead of this property. Um, So this is accounts receivable. Let me just show you how it looks like. So modify front office transactions. And when you click on search, see, yeah. So when you click on search, the transactions that you will see is FD, FD. So this is the information that comes in. This is the document number which has come in from PMS. This is the amount, and this is the AR ID to which it has been settled. So I as an accounts person can verify whether this transaction is actually settled to the correct AR ID or not. So if it is not settled to the correct AR ID, I can remove this and enter the correct AR ID as per the information that I have. So right now, I'm not changing anything. So once whatever changes, I can add more to the particulars. I can select this particular transaction and split the transaction, like I said, into two. Okay. So I have So there are two ARIDs that I can split this amount to 2,500 and say save and close. So these are some of the things that you can do in the modify front office transaction screen. Once all this is done and you are sure the correction has been done, you click on the save button. Then there is something called as transfer front office transactions. So I don't know what date was it. Should I check the date? This is 27th January 2020. So you come to this other screen called transfer front office transactions. After the changes have been done, you select the date for which you are transferring. And when you enter the date and you tab out, it will show you the number of transactions and the total amount that would start reflecting in accounts receivable once you have clicked OK here. So when you click OK here, after you've clicked OK, will all the transactions transferred from PMS would start reflecting in the statement of account. So I say statement of account, and if I say CCE credit card, and I say search, it will show me all the transactions that I have transferred as FD and FC respectively. Okay. CE is a credit note that has been posted directly in accounts receivable module. It has not come in from front office. So whatever has come in from the PMS will reflect as FD and FC here in the statement of account. Okay. Now you will have to send out intimation to the debtor saying that these are the list of transactions and this is the total amount for which you need to pay us. In that case, while you are in the statement of account itself, there is this option called select date for invoice generation and print. So before clicking the search button, you can pick this option and you can say search. So it will list the transactions, plus also there is a column of #1. There is a checkbox. So you can select the transactions that you want to include to send as a reminder to the debtor to Agoda to make the payment. So I select, these are my transactions that I am selecting. Okay. And then at the bottom, I come down at the bottom and I say generate invoices. So when I click on generate invoices, it says, do you wish to print the invoice that has been generated? So I said yes. So it will include, there's an invoice that will print, which you can send via email requesting to initiate the payment for the services which the hotel has provided. So this is a print that will come out, which will also display the selected transactions. See, it says it is addressed to Agoda. With pleasure, we are submitting the following invoices in favor of early payment. And these are the list of transactions that I had included. So the total amount comes out to be 13,557. So this is what I can send out to Agoda to initiate the payment. Now, after this is done, now say Agoda is making the payment based on the invoices that you have raised. So to record the invoices, there is one screen which is called as a transaction entry screen. In the transaction entry screen, you will click on the add button. When you click on the add button, you will see 4 options. One is payment, one is invoice, one is credit note, one is debit note. So payment is to receive the payment which the debtor is paying the hotel for the bills that the hotel has raised. Invoicing is required only when invoices are raised directly in accounts receivable for non-guest related transactions. Like the example that I gave was for rent, a rent collection to a space which the hotel has given out. And of course, credit notes and debit notes, like we posted in accounts payable, we can post credit and debit notes in accounts receivable as well for the debtor. So to receive the payment, the option of payment is selected. I enter the supplier from whom I'm receiving the payment. The transaction type is PM. The date is the date on which I'm recording this payment amount. And then I enter the particulars. So I say payment against invoice, whatever invoice number that you want to. The amount that you are receiving, say you're receiving 2 lakh rupees, 2 lakhs from the debtor. Here is the information from which, the bank information from which the payment is being received. Okay, so issue banks, I say ICICI Bank, or say Citi would not be mandatory, but I still do Pan India. This is the check number which I am depositing, that I am receiving from the debtor, and I'm depositing into my bank account, the hotel's bank account. So this check number can be a number, or the check number which the debtor is giving, or it can be the bank. If it is an online transfer, then it can be the bank transfer reference number. Okay, then it is the date on which the payment is being, the check date or the bank transfer date, and this is the bank ID. This is the hotel's bank ID into which the amount is being received. So if I say HDFC Bank, the moment I select the HDFC Bank here, the ledger account code of this particular bank ID will display here. This is my general ledger distribution. This is debit. Because it is a payment, so my bank account is debited and sundry debtors control account code is credited. So this is the debit side of it. When I enter the note, it automatically displays here in the narration, and I say save and close. If I want to come out of the screen, I can say save and new if I want to proceed with posting more transactions. So this is how I have received the payment. Okay, now I can choose the now if I have to raise an invoice for a non-guest related transaction, which means like a rent collection, all I need to do is be in the transaction entry screen, select the option of invoice. The transaction type changes to IN. I can select the debtor. Say I'm doing SK Finance Limited. I will enter the invoice number SK001, the date, the bill number of the, okay, the particulars, rent, invoicing. I do the same here for note, rent, invoicing. The amount of rent for which I am invoicing. Okay, and then all I need to do is, if there is any tax applicable on this amount of rent that you're receiving, you will have to enter the tax here, tax code here. Otherwise, you don't have to bother about the tax distribution at all. You come down and you enter the revenue GL account code, which will be credited. So if I say, I think I should have something for rent, I don't know. Yeah, so this is rent collection. This is the rent. Now, since I changed my property, so this property is not using the cost center concept, which is why it is a complete GL account code. Otherwise, you would have to not only select the ledger account code for the revenue ledger account code, but you would also have to select the department or the cost center or the revenue center to which that particular revenue GL account code is mapped. So here I'm just doing the straight away selecting the GL account code, rent, amounting to this much, and I say save and new because I want to proceed. This is a close back. So the invoice is posted for SK Finances. If you want to see, then you can enter SK Finances, SK Finance Corporation Limited here, and I say search. What was it? I don't remember. SK. SK Finance. So SK Finance Limited, and it will show me the invoice here. Against this invoice, when I'm receiving the payment from SK Finance against this invoice, the process of recording the payment is exactly the same. I will choose payment here, and I will give the information, the bank information of SK Finance. I will enter the bank ID of my hotel where I'm depositing the money or where I'm receiving the payment of rent. And the moment I select the bank ID here, the GL distribution at the bottom will show the ledger account code of the bank in which the money is being received. So the process of recording payment, irrespective of whether you're raising an invoice from accounts receivable or you're receiving a payment against the front office transactions, remains exactly the same. You have recorded payment, you have recorded invoice, you may want to record credit notes and debit notes in the same pattern. The process of recording debit and credit notes is exactly the same. Now, when you have to settle, now that you have recorded the payment, you may want to settle against the invoices that are raised for the PMS front office transactions or for invoices. In that case, you can use this screen called Settle Documents. You go to Settle Documents, like I say, I received an amount from Agoda. So Agoda, I click on search. It will list all the front office transactions that are appearing here. And I can choose which transactions to be knocked off. Okay. I select this, say for example, and I say to settle transactions, click here. And I click on the search button. It will show me I had received a payment. Here, this is the payment, sorry. This is the payment transaction that I had recorded for Agoda for 2 lakh rupees. So I select this payment transaction and then I click here to settle transactions, click here. Now, at this point of time, these are some of the dates that are, these are some of the filters that are available to filter the debit transactions which you want to knock off against the payment that you have received. If you do not enter the filters and do a blind search, it will list all the front office debit transactions that have been recorded or that has come in from TMS for this particular debtor, which is Agoda. So now this 2 lakh rupees of payment that I have received from Agoda, I can choose which are the front office debit transactions that I want to knock off against. So I can choose the transactions that I want to settle for this 2 lakh rupees. The payment that I have received, you will keep seeing, it will reflect the total amount based on whatever transactions that you have settled. Okay. So say right now I'm just settling only 16,703 against 2 lakh that I have received from Agoda. So now I will say save and close. So all these FD front office debit transactions amounts will be knocked off against the payment that I have received. Okay, there are still more pending and you can decide to settle it as and when required. Similarly, if I can do the same for the manual invoice that I raised, the manual invoice that I raised here for SK Finances, I will go to settle invoices. In settle invoices, I will choose SK Finance Limited, and I click on search. No, sorry. Sorry. Settle documents only. SK search. Sorry. accounts receivable, statement of account, SK. Wasn't it SK Finance Limited? Yeah, 1 lakh. So this invoice. So this is an invoice. Now let me receive a payment of 1 lakh. Transaction entry. I click on the add button. Payment. This is the payment of SK that I'm receiving, SK Finance Limited. Payment, rent payment, 1 lakh. Rent payment. So HDFC and here the date of my payment and the bank in which the payment is being received, HDFC, and I say save and close. So there's a payment receipt voucher which is printed for that 1 lakh rupees, details created, updated. Now, when I go to settle documents, or maybe let me try settle invoices. Show me. Limited search. It is showing me the payment transaction, the rent payment of 1 lakh that I received, settle against invoice number. This is the column. When I do a drop down, why isn't it showing me the invoice? There seems to be some problem here. Let's try from settle documents. SK Finance Limited, search. This is the payment of 1 lakh. To settle transactions, click here and I say search. It will show me the invoice. So this is the invoice that I had posted, the manual invoice for rent collection. All I need to do is just click on the settle option here and say save and close. So now when I look at the statement of account of any of my debtors, even SK Finance Limited, for which I had posted a manual invoice, SK Finance, and I say include settled transactions, and let me give a shorter date, which is the 30th of June, and I say search. I will see that there is an invoice that was posted and there was a payment that was received. And if you want to see the settlements, you can click on the view button. It will show you the settlement of each of the transactions. So this is how accounts receivables, manual invoicing, as well as for transactions which have come in from PMS is recorded and settled. Again, if the settlement has gone wrong, if you have settled against an incorrect credit transaction or the payment was settled against an incorrect invoice, if you want to delink the settlements, if you want to undo the settlements that has gone wrong, you will always come back to statement of account. Like so for SK Finance Limited, you will click on this option of delink. You will say include settled transactions and you will say delink. You will select this option of delink. You click on the search button. It will show you the transactions which have been settled. You can choose the particular transaction like the payment of 1 lakh, which say, for example, if I had settled it against an incorrect invoice, I come to the delink column here. You will see the button as view. You click on view. You click the checkbox of delink here and say save and close. So whatever the settlement that you did of the particular payment against the invoice gets reversed. So the delink is unsettled. Sorry, the delinking means unsettling the statement, unsettling the transaction. Let me just do a refresh. So now you will see that the payment transaction and the invoice transaction, there is no settlement available. They are independent transactions. you will have to go back to the settle document screen and do the settlement again against the correct transaction. Now, the payment reversal, the payment that you have received is, if for some reason have to be reversed because there was a dishonor or there was a stop payment, or for whatever reasons, if you have to reverse, you will have to go to transaction reversal screen here. This is the transaction reversal screen. It is exactly the same. You select SK Finance Limited. You click on the search button. It will show you the payment that you have received as well as the invoice also that you have recorded. Say, for example, if you've recorded an incorrect amount in the invoice, you need to reverse the invoice. So you similarly, if you want to reverse the payment, you will select the particular payment. It shows the reversal date on which you are reversing the payment transaction. When you reverse the payment, at the time when you receive the payment, an acknowledgement can be sent automatically to the debtor, acknowledging the receipt of the amount via email, which requires an email configuration, and the AR ID or the debtor ID should have a valid email ID defined at the time when you're uploading the masters. So to reverse, all you have to do is just click on the select the transaction that you want to reverse and say save. So the transaction gets reversed and a debit transaction gets posted. So this is a debit invoice which is generated. And now if you go back and look at the statement of account, if you go back and look at the statement of account of SK, you will see the reversal transaction as well. SK Finance includes settled transactions. And I say search, you will see PM, there is a payment reversal, which is PR of 1 lakh. Okay, so the invoice is outstanding. So you need to receive a payment against this particular invoice. Now, what is the settlement that you see against this particular PR is the payment transaction which has been reversed. So you can click on the view button to see which payment transaction has been linked with this particular payment reversal. Okay, I hope this is clear. All of it is clear. What is left now in accounts receivable are just small topics like dispute transactions and transfer transactions, and of course the AR accounts inquiry, which is very similar to the AP accounts inquiry, and the reports of accounts receivable. So I think we can stop here today. We meet again tomorrow. Tomorrow would be our last session, where I will cover up whatever is left, which means a part of general ledger and the bank reconciliation and general cashier module will be covered, and we end our session tomorrow. It starts tomorrow also, the time remains the same, which is 10 to 12 India Standard Time. Is it okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
So far, so good with everyone?
Yeah.
Is it very complex for you to understand?
Yes, for first time, yes, maybe. If you can share the, what is that? The manual and the recording, I think I can learn further then.
Yes. I will send you the recording. You can go over the recording again and again. And I am always available. So if you have any queries or if you get stuck even while listening to the recordings, please email to me. So don't hesitate to email to me asking any kind of questions that you have. Don't think that the question is silly or stupid or I may not understand. Just go ahead and ask whatever doubts you have.
Okay, thank you very much for today.
Thank you everyone. See you tomorrow.
Yes, see you
Bye.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.